P Diddy. Who else is involved? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. As the dominoes start to fall in relation to P Diddy and the allegations against him, with a criminal case and new civil cases being filed against him, there is the prospect of new high-profile defendants being dragged into this almighty shitstorm. As I've established elsewhere, based upon a substantial body of evidence, P Diddy is a narcissist. That means that he is governed by the pursuit of the prime aims. He must control people, he must draw fuel from them. People are there to be used for their character traits and their residual benefits. And his manipulation of people has demonstrated his lack of emotional empathy, his sense of entitlement, his arrogance, his absence of accountability, the fact that he has no sense of remorse or guilt. People are playthings to him. There is also an element of sadism in his behaviours as he revels in and enjoys the puppeteering that he engages in and the discomfort and hurt of the victims. However, it is the proverbial tip of the iceberg, because not only is it the case that we are seeing more victims coming forward, thus who else has been subjected to his behaviours, but also who has also been involved that facilitated them. Who has enabled him to have access to these individuals? Who has enabled him to keep the rumours just that, as rumours? Who is it who has enabled him to build up an extensive network whereby he was free to abuse time and time again? Who else is it suggested that took advantage of the abuse to engage in abuse themselves, that they were not only complicit in observing abusive behaviours, but may well have engaged in abuse themselves? It's reported that as the Diddy case unravels, that one question remains: who else was involved? With over 25 years sustained period of activity of alleged abuse and more than 100 victims coming forward, it's implausible that Diddy acted alone. Anywhere you look online, you'll see that people are begging authorities to release the list. They're wanting others to be held accountable. They want others to be held accountable for potentially participating in and enabling decades of industry abuse. I've explained previously that this is in effect the Hollywood sickness, that people have failed to realise that the entertainment industry acts as a honeypot for the narcissist, that it draws the narcissist to an environment whereby the individual is able to assert control over people, to draw fuel from those people, to gain those character traits and residual benefits. Watch my video, The Hollywood Sickness, to understand how it manifests. And this Hollywood sickness has permeated the industry within which P Diddy has operated. As is reported by Jessica Reed Krause, the internet lit up on Tuesday after Houston attorney Tony Busby said he was ready to name names during a press conference. The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names, Busby told a crowded room of reporters. That may well have caused a few sphincters around the states and further afield to start going wah, 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 wah. He continued by explaining it's a long list already. Because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure we are right before we do that. Busby added that some of these names will shock you. He stated, "We will find the silent accomplices. We will expose the enablers who enabled this conduct behind closed doors. We will pursue this matter, no matter who the evidence implicates." Busby announced that his law firm will represent 120 new victims who have come forward to file civil suits against P Diddy and other well-known celebrities, cases spanning over 25 years. Prior to this press conference, it was assumed that the freak-off started in 2008, but according to new victim stories, the abuse and exploitation may date back all the way to 1991. Not only are new individuals being named as defendants in these new civil lawsuits, But corporate entities are also being included, who Busby said allegedly profited off this culture and behaviour. These corporate entities include banks, pharmaceutical companies and hotels. Busby and his team are vetting all the victims carefully by collecting photo and video evidence, date, times and names, to identify witnesses to ensure that each case they take on is legitimate. Pausing there. As I always explain to you, when dealing with the narcissist, the most effective thing to do is to apply no contact. But where it is necessary for you to take some action involving a narcissist, deal with a custody dispute, recover property, seek money, prevent the narcissist from taking money from you, whatever it might be, you must always go to the evidence. The advantage is that with all narcissists, evidence is generated, and particularly with the lesser and mid-range variety, they, with their preoccupation on controlling the now, create plenty of evidence which you just have to be around to collect. Here, we're seeing that the behaviour of P Diddy is such that over 25 years' worth of evidence is starting to come forward as the floodgates open. It's important to vet all of this naturally to ensure that each claim is legitimate so that it would succeed in court, but also to ensure, and these individuals will appear, some of whom are likely to be narcissists themselves, that the chancers and opportunists don't pollute the legitimate cases. Busby said the new cases they're working on include allegations against other high-profile celebrities who allegedly worked hand in hand with P Diddy, abusing their power to exploit vulnerable victims, many who were looking to make a name for themselves in the industry. We don't yet know the names of these individuals. The finger of suspicion has been pointed at certain people. We must await the evidence. However, it is highly likely that a number of these individuals will also prove to be narcissists also, because they, driven by their unconscious pursuit of the prime aims, will engage in this behaviour and see that there was nothing wrong with it. They would recognise that it is viewed as wrong, hence they will have behaved in a manner of keeping it quiet, but they themselves see that it is appropriate for them, that it was justified to take such steps. And of course, these individuals, being in positions of power and wealth and influence, all areas that attract the narcissist, will then utilise those assets as a means to abuse people. Commonly, this will be done to groom people with promises of furtherance of their career, that by being involved, they will be granted favours. And of course, the price for that is to be brought under control, which means you are abused. Many individuals end up suffering abuse as a collateral consequence of their own in relation to trying to achieve something. There are plenty of stories of young boys who were abused by a particular individual in the United Kingdom when they were at what were youth academies for certain football clubs. They wanted to become professional footballers. They didn't call out the behaviour because they didn't want to lose the opportunity to become a footballer. The perpetrator knew this. He knew that he wielded power over these individuals, that they would more than likely stay silent with the threat of being kicked off the course, kicked off the programme. We've seen it in gymnastics in the United States. You see it in many instances where an individual, invariably a narcissist, will abuse people who are under their supposed care and protection. They use the promise of celebrity, the promise of fame, the promise of stardom, the promise of becoming a professional in the field that they've chosen as a means for buying the silence of the individual who they abuse with impunity. And we will see it here also in relation to the victims of P Diddy, individuals who were mentored and promised the world by individuals, promised gain, future faking, and the price for which admission to this dubious club was to be abused and to keep silent about it. 25 new victims were minors during the time the incidents allegedly occurred, the youngest being a 9-year-old, who claims he suffered abuse during an audition at Bad Boy Records studios. They seek victims who are vulnerable, such as children, their employees and their intimate partners, all who see a different version than the public does, all who rely on the abuser in some way, Carrie L. Paul of the National Victim Advocate told the crowd during the press conference. Abusers are unfortunately very skilled at power and control, a foundation of abuse. 3,285 victims came forward in just 10 days to report allegations against Diddy and other defendants. Now, some of those will just be chances and opportunists. They always come crawling out of the woodwork in situations such as this. But given the fact that it's gone back over 25 years, and given the extensive reach of P Diddy and the people that he courted company with, it's likely that there are many hundred, if not thousands, of victims. Busby's law firm have taken on 120 victims so far. 100 more cases have been investigated and considered for representation. Attorney Andrew Van Arsdale of Avas Law Group, who is helping Busby with the case, said seeing such a high volume of victims coming forward in such a short period of time is unprecedented. We represent thousands of survivors of abuse, and never in a 10-day period have we seen 3,000 people come forward, or we have confirmed and decided to investigate 120 people while we're continuing to work through another 100 plus cases to prove them up, to validate what had happened here, and to hold those who are responsible accountable. The new victim breakdown is as follows: 60 males, 60 females, 62% are African American, 30% are white, the remainder are Hispanic and Asian. 25 of the plaintiffs were minors at the time of the alleged incidents occurred. 55% of the victims had already reported abuse to local authorities, hospitals, and the FBI. But of course, nothing seems to have been done in that regard, which raises further interesting questions about why that is, and in certain instances, the reach of the narcissist will have been such to nullify that threat to control. Victims come from 25 states. Most cases happen in California, New York, Georgia, and Florida. Major cities involved are Los Angeles, New York, the Hamptons, and Miami. The conduct allegedly occurred in private residences, recording studios, and hotels, and took place at after parties, album release parties, New Year's Eve parties, puppy parties, the famous all-white party, and at auditions. The youngest victim was 9 years old at the time the incident occurred. The victim alleges that he suffered abuse during an audition at Bad Boy Record Studios in New York City. The abuse reportedly involved P Diddy and others present at the audition. The victim alleges that he and other minors in attendance were promised record deals, promised gain to assert control over the individual. The 15-year-old victim was female and was flown to New York to attend a party. She was allegedly drugged and taken into a private room and raped. Allegedly, multiple individuals took turns raping her. Another minor alleges that Diddy stated that he would make him a star, but needed to visit him in private away from his parents. This, of course, is to lessen the interference of the parents with regard to the assertion of control over this minor victim. Allegedly, P. Diddy made the victim perform oral sex on him. There was a common theme of abuse at the parties. Busby, the lawyer, has found that he alleged that a victim would be lured into a situation and handed a laced drink they were forced to drink. Once the drink took effect, perpetrators allegedly performed sexual acts on the victims. The victims were allegedly passed around while others watched and enjoyed the show. Some victims allegedly woke up with severe damage to private areas of their body and no memory of what had happened. They'd been left feeling ashamed, confused, injured, and humiliated. If they reached out for answers, which of course would be threat to control, they were allegedly silenced and threatened with physical violence and or bodily harm, nullification of threat to control. Many of the victims who sought medical treatment were drug tested. Weird drugs were found in their systems, such as xylazine, which is also known as tranq, a horse tranquilizer. This has been found several times in multiple victims' drug test results. It's a non-opioid sedative, which is not approved for use in people and can slow down the brain and breathing, slow down the heart rate, lower blood pressure, and is especially dangerous when combined with other opioids. 90% of new cases report they were drugged or handed a laced drink. Some victims said that if you refused to drink what they handed you, you'd get kicked out of the party, which of course, a refusal to drink it is a threat to control, and therefore removing you means that you would be nullified. Busby promises to expose all accomplices and enablers. New names may be revealed as the investigations continue, with cases to be filed in New York and Los Angeles. Busby claims complicit bystanders know who they are, and he says these bystanders are facilitators of foul play, willing participants in vile conduct. These future defendants will include anyone who engaged in the assault or exploitation or participated in any way, anyone who encouraged or facilitated the conduct, anyone who was in the room and watched it happen and did nothing to stop it, any venue or venue owner who was aware of what was going on but failed to stop it, any individual who knew about this conduct and benefited from it, any individual entity or who helped cover it up. The claims include false imprisonment, sexual abuse of adults and minors, violent sexual assault and rape, facilitated sex with a controlled substance, compelling prostitution, sexual misconduct, dissemination of video recordings. Now that P Diddy is behind bars, Busby said that victims are feeling safer coming forward. But many still feel afraid of retaliation by one of Diddy's powerful perpetrators. He said they also worry about public backlash from their communities, peers and the general public, especially since some of the defendants named in these new cases are celebrities with large cult-like fan bases, whose fans will defend anything their beloved celebrity does. You'll be shocked at the lengths fans will go to, no matter what the evidence to the contrary, to defend celebrities they love, Busby said, revealing that he's already facing backlash and death threats for taking on these cases. Diddy's legal team have denied all 120 new pending lawsuits, denial, nullification of threat to control. Erica Wolf told Rolling Stone, as Mr. Combs' legal team has emphasised, he cannot address every meritless allegation in what has become a reckless media circus. That, of course, is minimisation and deflection, dismissal of the claims. That said, Mr. Combs emphatically and categorically denies as false and defamatory any claim that he sexually abused anyone, including minors. He looks forward to proving his innocence and vindicating himself in court if and when claims are filed and served, where the truth will be established based on evidence, not speculation. Well, if the level of abuse that has been alleged has taken place on scale and repetition and depth, it's clear that not all of it was perpetrated by P. Diddy, but that people allowed it to happen, facilitated it, witnessed it and did nothing to stop it. Moreover, it's evident that certain individuals not only witnessed it, but engaged in the same activity as that of P. Diddy. Undoubtedly, there will be a number of narcissists who are now fearful, because narcissists do experience fear, that they will be included, and they will be taking steps to try and nullify those threats to control. They will be utilising legal and unlawful means to protect their position, to nullify the inherent threat to control posed by all of these victims coming forward. And it's clear, as per what Busby has said, that there are evidently some very well-known and famous individuals who are likely to find themselves as further defendants, and undoubtedly there will be narcissists amongst them also. This really is just the start of the dominoes falling, and shows just the extent to which the narcissist's reach can impact upon people, and how other narcissists will join in with the behaviour. It remains to be seen who will be named, but named they will. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.